Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to solve questions in your reading quiz chapter 9. Let's start with the first question. Henrik is a baseball fan and attends several games per person. His expenses per person are listed in the table below. And given these expenses, we are going to calculate the inflation rate for Henrik's baseball season between year 1 and year 2. So we have two ways of calculating inflation. The easiest way is to find out the cost of basket, which includes the foods, energy, anything else a consumer buys in this basket over the year, and then calculate the same basket next year and find out the change in the cost of basket. So we're gonna look at the cost of basket in year 1. Let's do that. Cost of basket in year 1, $500 plus $100 plus $150 plus $50. This equals to $800. So this basket costs $800 for Henrik. Now let's calculate cost of basket in year 2. And this time it's $600 plus $120 plus $150 and plus $80. That is equal to $150. So the next step is to find the inflation. Inflation is the percentage change in cost of basket from one year to another. So for inflation, subtract the previous period's cost of basket, which is 800, divide by previous year's cost of basket, times 100 is going to give you the percentage. So if we do this calculation, it's going to be $150 divided by 800 times 100, which is equal to 18.75%. This is one way of calculating inflation. So in this method, you are going to find a cost of basket for each year and find out the percentage change in the cost of basket from one year to another. Next question. If you are hired by an organization, you would be least hurt by inflation if. So we need to find a case that you are going to be least hurt. You are going to be least hurt if your income increases as much as the inflation. So let's read the first one. Your employer has a cost of living adjustment clause in the employment contract. This is the correct answer because cost of living adjustment refers to the adjustments of your income due to changes in inflation. So if this year inflation is 7%, then your income increases by 7%. Let's read the other options too. The government increases Social Security retirement payments in anticipation of expected inflation. So expected inflation may not be the same inflation that you will see next year. For instance, beginning of the year expected inflation is 2%, but the inflation turns out to be 7%. So you're going to be hurt by the inflation because your income increases by expected inflation, but actual inflation could be higher than the expected one. Let's see this one. You increase savings in your bank account in anticipation of expected rise in inflation. Actually, the right thing should be you shouldn't increase your savings, but savings should bring you a return as much as the inflation. If that is the sentences, then you would choose this one as well. If your employer provides fixed annual increases in salaries and benefits in the employment contract, again, fixed annual increases may not be same as the inflation. Inflation could be higher than fixed annual increases. For that reason, the first option is the correct one. Question 3. Brittany is a baseball fan and attends several games per season. Her expenses per season are listed in the table below. Assuming that the year 1 is the base year, calculate the price index for year 1 and year 2. So we actually use price index to calculate the inflation. Why? Because cost of basket sometimes could be a number like 20,543 for year 1 and 21,221 in year 2. So eyeballing is kind of hard when you see these numbers. And for that reason, we use an index. Index is a nice number. It's around 100 and it's easy to calculate inflation from one period to another. So index doesn't have a unit, just represents the cost of basket for that year. And now I'm going to show how to calculate index. So let's calculate consumer price index, which represents the basket of goods and services that are bought by a typical consumer. And that is equal to cost of basket in current year divided by cost of basket base year. Base year is a year that you refer, okay? That's the reference year. And times 100, don't forget, because CPI usually around 100. So we need to find the cost of basket in current year. If we calculate the CPI for year 1, current year is year 1 too. So cost of basket in year 1 divided by base year is also year 1 too. Therefore cost of basket year 1 times 100. This will cancel each other. Therefore CPI for the base year is always 100. So CPI for the base year is always 100. Now let's calculate the CPI for the second year. This was CPI for the first year. Since first year is the same as the base year, we find CPI as 100. Now for CPI second year, we will apply the formula again. CPI year 2 is equal to, now cost of basket in year 2 and cost of basket in the base year, which is year 1. So we need to calculate cost of basket in year 2. Year 2, she spends 560 on baseball tickets, plus 160, plus 150, plus 70, which is equal to $940. This is year 2 cost of basket. Now let's calculate year 1 cost of basket, which we have 500 plus 120 plus 150 plus 60. That is equal to $830. Now I can calculate the CPI year 2, which is 940 current year cost of basket divided by base year times 100. That is close to 113. So we find the right answer. 100 is for the base year, year 1, and 113 is year 2. Question 4. The table below contains the price indices for the macroeconomy for several years. So now you have the price indices. If you are given the price indices, you are going to calculate inflation as the percentage change in the price indices from one year to another. So we need to calculate inflation in 2012. So it's the percentage change in the price index from 2011 to 2012. So we are looking at a number here. CPI 2012 is 130 and CPI 2011 is 105. So it's the percentage change. How we find? First we get the current period, which is the last period 2012, minus previous period divided by previous period times 100. You can actually simplify this formula, okay? Remember this 130 divided by 105 minus 105 divided by 105, which is 1, times 100. They are the same formula, just making it easier. That means 130 divided by 105 minus 1 times 100 is going to calculate the inflation. So 130 divided by 105 is 1.238 minus 1 is equal to, this part is equal to 0.2380 approximately times 100, which is equal to 23.8%. So that's the inflation rate for 2012. The consumer price index, as I said before, measures the change in all cost of living for a typical households, because consumer price index includes the consumer goods in the basket. Therefore, it measures the cost of living for a typical US household. Question 6. Which of the following was a way for the Bureau of Labor Statistics to reduce the quality new good bias in its calculation of the CPI? If you read the textbook, you find out that actually CPI is based on a fixed basket. Fixed means that the goods and services in this basket doesn't change easily. But you know that the iPhone you buy today doesn't have the same quality of the iPhone that you buy 2-3 years ago. If the CPI is based on a fixed basket, then the price increases in the good is actually may not be just because of the inflation, but the price increases in iPhone because the quality of the iPhone is better. Or new goods could be introduced in the economy, which fixed basket may ignore it. So the question is asking how actually Bureau of Labor Statistics can reduce the quality new good bias in its calculation of CPI. So the way that BLS deals with this problem is by updating the list of products included in the CPI more often and rapidly. So that when you update the basket and what is included in the basket, you are updating the quality of the product. Also, you are including new goods and services in the economy as well. Question 7. If the consumer price index was 155 in 1 year and 165 in the next year, then what is the rate of inflation? Now, we know that rate of inflation is the change in the consumer price index. It's actually percentage change in the consumer price index. So we take 165 divided by 155 minus 1 times 100 is the inflation rate. So let's calculate 165 divided by 155 minus 1 is very close to, this part is very close to 0.065 times 100, 6.5%. Question number 8. Which measures the changes in the prices of a basket of some 100 goods produced by a typical manufacturer? So that is producer price index. Question 9. The rate of inflation in Zimbabwe rose in 2018 from 10.6% to 577.21% in 2020. What was the positive effect of this unexpected inflation on the residents of the country? You might think that everybody is hurt by inflation, but it's actually inflation helps people who borrow money because they are going to pay back their loan at 10% rate while the value of the dollars they are paying losing value at 577%. So people who borrow money in the inflationary period or before the inflation starts is actually better off because they are paying with dollars that have less value to the creditors. For that reason, the right answer is it helped debtors. Question 10. Assuming that the consumer price index increases from 100 to 120. So that means prices are rising and the dollars or the money you have in your pocket have less value. And you need more money to buy the same amount of goods, implying that the value of the money drops. So that's the right answer. And in this question, it's asking between 1921 and 1971, the average wage in Volcania increased from 13 to 24. But the increase here we see is the nominal wage. So in 1921, the wage was $13. And now in 1971, it's $24. So first we need to find out the growth in nominal wage. So this is just a growth formula of a variable. Therefore, 24 minus 13 divided by 13 times 100 is going to tell you the percentage growth in the nominal wage, which is equal to $11 divided by $13 times 100. That's equal to close to 84.62%, but I'm going to write all the decimals in case we need them. 615385%. Okay, this is the nominal wage growth, as I said. So nominal wages increase by almost 84.6% over this period of time. Now let's calculate now the change in price level, which is the inflation rate. In 1921, the price level was 105 CPI, and in 1971, the price level is 205. So here we can calculate now the inflation. Inflation is again a growth rate. We start with the current data, 205, minus the previous data, 105, divided by 105 times 100. So that is equal to 100 divided by 105 times 100. Again, I'm going to calculate using a calculator. 100 divided by 105 times 100. I'm going to write all the decimals in case we need it. 95.2380952%. So the price is increased by 95.2% approximately. Now, when we calculate the real wage growth is nominal wage growth, which is 84.615385% minus 95.2380952%. So that is equal to, so the real wages actually didn't grow, they shrank. That means your purchasing power decreased over the time. While you have more dollars in your pocket, the purchasing power of dollars decreased, which is 10%, negative 10%, negative 10.6227102%. So I have tried several options, and the result is negative 10.6%. And the system wants you to round up the number. Therefore, if you write negative 11%, then the answer is going to be accepted as correct. So don't write negative 10%, don't write the whole entire decimal, just round it up and then write closest whole number for the answer. Let's look at another question that may not be easy to answer. Here in this question you have the data for the shirt cost, which in 1923 it's $1.90. And at that time CPI was 100. In 1973 CPI is given, which is 214, and the t-shirt cost was asked. If you remember, we used BLS calculator in the class to convert dollar values from historical period, but there is also a formula that you can use to convert dollar values. The formula is, here we want to know the price in 1973, which is the recent price, and that's equal to, we are going to take price in 1923 times, and here we will write the price level, the recent one, which is CPI 1973. Okay, remember you have recent data, so therefore you have recent CPI, and divided by CPI in 1923. So this is how we solve this question. So we don't know the price in 1973, but we know that it's $1.90 times CPI in 1973 is 214 divided by CPI 100. So this is how we calculate, which is going to be $4.06. So let's write here $4.066 and submit answer. Yes, that's correct. So these are the two questions you might find difficult to solve, but after watching this video it shouldn't be a problem.